Hi, my name is Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of AndrewsFootball.com. Welcome to my latest in the series, Top 10 Kansas City Chiefs of All Time. Now, if you're new to my channel and you haven't done it already, there's this button right down here. See it, see it, see it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. My channel is scientifically proven to make all your wildest dreams come true. Now, if you're new to this list, every Monday I release a newer version or a latest version, if you will, up to my top 10 Kansas City Chiefs of all time, going from 10 to 1. Number 10 is Otis Taylor. Number 9 is Jamal Charles. Number 8 is Derek Thomas. Number 7 is Tony Gonzalez. Number 6 is Will Shields. Now, number 5 is really interesting because when I first started doing research on the history of the Kansas City Chiefs and who should be on this list and who shouldn't be on this list, I didn't have this player on my original list. Turns out to be that the more and more research I started to do, the more and more I found out that this player is possibly the most underappreciated, underrated Kansas City Chief of all time. At least that was until 2019, where this player was finally elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, this player was drafted in 1960, and the first 2 years of his career with the Dallas Texans, he was a very good running back and was an excellent receiver in Hank Stram's offense. But upon switching the defense in 1962, the Dallas Texans won their first and last AFL championship. Now, there's a lot of things that happened, but this player switching from offense to defense was instrumental in a team that was 6-8 and allowed 24.5 points a game to 11-3, an AFL championship, and allowing 16.6 points a game. The next year in 63, this player and the whole organization moved to Kansas City, and this player has either was first team All-Pro or was a Pro Bowl player every single year that he was in Kansas City as part of the Kansas City Chiefs, except for his last year in 1971. This player had 7 Pro Bowls, 6-time first team All-Pro, and was named first team All-1960s by the AFL Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Reference. And of course, I am referring to Johnny Robinson. Now, if you've been following my channel and following this list, a large criteria I have for greatest Kansas City Chiefs of all time is, did you help win a Super Bowl or a championship? And the answer is yes, twice. Plus, he was very instrumental in getting the Kansas City Chiefs to Super Bowl I. In 1966, he was a first-team All-Pro and had 10 interceptions that year. So here's the thing. Not only is Robinson a 2-time champion and helped the Chiefs get to 2 Super Bowls, I found it very interesting that his career was ended with an injury in 1971 during the NFL's longest game, the last game at Memorial Stadium in 1971. I can make an argument that if he doesn't get injured during that game, maybe the Chiefs beat the Miami Dolphins, maybe the Chiefs advance, but he was injured in that game and never played again. After the 1971 season, the Kansas City Chiefs didn't go to the playoffs for another 15 years. The 10 years that he was a member of the Kansas City Chiefs defense, they went to the playoffs 5 times. Without him, now there's other factors involved, of course, but it is interesting to know that when he gets injured and never plays again, they don't go to the playoffs for another 15 years. I think that's really significant. The impact that he had on the Chiefs' lone Super Bowl in 1969 is immense. He's a first-team All-Pro. And the NFL Network, when breaking down the top 10 defenses of all time, have the Kansas City Chiefs as the 4th greatest defense of all time, behind Lombardi's Packers, 85 Bears, and the Steel Curtain. I can make an argument that this defense may be even better than 4th all time, but being 4th behind those 3 defenses, not bad. I mean, you are the 4th greatest defense of all time per the NFL Network. Now, the 1969 Kansas City Chiefs are the very last defense to be number 1 in rushing yards allowed, Number one in passing yards allowed. Of course, they're number one in total yards, number one in points, and number one in interceptions. There's not been a defense to do that in 50 years. And he was a first-team All-Pro for that 69 Kansas City Chiefs. And big-time players show up in big-time games. In Super Bowl IV, he has an interception and a fumble recovery to help the Kansas City Chiefs beat the favored Minnesota Vikings in the final game of the AFL. In his 10 seasons on defense, he accumulated 57 interceptions. That's 13th all time. No player ranked in the top 12 that are above Johnny Robinson did this in anything less than 12 seasons. The guy who had 64 interceptions in 12 seasons, Ed Reed, who's the biggest ball hawk I've ever seen, and just based on pure statistics, Robinson's a better ball hawk than Ed Reed. I mean, Ed Reed in 12 seasons had 64 interceptions, where Robinson in 10 seasons had 57. So in 2 seasons, would Robinson have gotten 7 interceptions when he averages 5.7 a season? Probably. And Robinson's one of only 7 NFL players to have 10 interceptions in multiple seasons, but when Robinson played, they only had a 14-game schedule. He's also one of only 6 NFL players to have a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and a defensive touchdown. So, to recap why Johnny Robinson is my 5th greatest Kansas City Chief of all time. Number one, he was a leader on a defense that was considered to be one of the greatest in the NFL. The last defense in 50 years, now unless there's defense that does it this year, which I don't see happening. Never, keep in mind, number one in rushing yards, number one in passing yards, of course, number one in total yards, number one in points, number one in interceptions. Johnny Robinson helped win 2 championships and helped lead the Chiefs to 2 Super Bowls. First team All-Pro in both Super Bowl seasons, including the Super Bowl I season where they lost Super Bowl I to Green Bay. He had 10 interceptions that season. Number 3, he made big-time plays in big-time games. In Super Bowl IV, he has an interception and a fumble recovery in that game. Number 4, the statistical accomplishments, which I kind of already mentioned. But think about this. 57 interceptions in 10 seasons? Do you realize how crazy that is? There's only one other player in NFL history that did better. Only one. Robinson, I can argue, is the most versatile Chief of all time, playing on offense for 2 seasons, then on defense. And again, I'm going to repeat this again. One of only 7 NFL players to have 10 interceptions in multiple seasons. 14-game seasons, not 16-game seasons. One of 6 players in NFL history to have a receiving touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a defensive touchdown. And this is just kind of my opinion, but I think that his injury in the NFL's longest game in 1971 shows how important he was, because the Chiefs didn't go back to the playoffs for 15 years after he was gone. So this is my list, but I want to know what you think. My opinion's out here for everybody to see, but what do you think? Is Johnny Robinson too low on my list? Is Johnny Robinson too high on that list? Would you even have Johnny Robinson on your list? You let me know. So listen, if you're a subscriber to Andrews Football, you already know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. All your wildest dreams are going to come true, but if you haven't done it already, there's this button right down here. See it, see it, see it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. My Week 13 NFL review is tomorrow. Week 14 preview is Friday. Live stream Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central. Anything goes. I'll see you tomorrow.